My name is Kapsong Kim. I was born in 1965, so I'm 59 now. And I was born in Seoul, Korea. And I came to the United States when I was 18. So it's much longer time that I spent in US than Korea.
And when you think back on your childhood in Korea, what do you remember?
My childhood in Korea was really terrible. I didn't like it at all. I mean, the one thing that I remembered the earliest was that when I was in second grade. At that time, the schools in Korea, they always do these marches in front of the school board members. When school board members are visiting the school, they want to show their kids are disciplined, and they want to, show it like military style. And a lot of Korean schools, not many people really talk about this. I don't know why, but at that time, the school in Korea was really style of military. So we have to do these military marches in front of school board members. And teachers and schools really trying to look good to the board members because they are the high-level officers. So I remember when I was second grade, I was the youngest because I went to school 1 year early. And then I was the smallest, one of the smallest kid, and my body was really not that fully developed at the time. So when we do the march, as you know, we have to do march like this. But I was doing this. And then one of the teachers ran at me and just hit my head with the fist. Don't do that. And that was my first experience, and that kind of stick to me. This is wrong. And my social consciousness has even developed in elementary school. And I hated Korean school system. So, throughout the high school, I only liked about one or two teachers. All the others, I think they are like military trained, teachers who abused the kids. When I was in high school, there's one teacher. He was really in bad mood. And one of the kids was joking like, maybe he fight with his wife at home. And he heard it. And you know what happened? He said that, come up. And he was hitting him in the face from the classroom, the front to the back. He was hitting him like this. That kind of thing was keep on happening. And I don't know, once again, I don't know why many people talk about this. So I don't really have any kind of good memories at all in Korean school system. And so that's how I think I got my social consciousness. But until high school, I didn't know what's the way that we can change it. Because I was too young, so I don't know any movement, I don't know any organizations. I was just being terrible all the time in the school. I felt really bad all the time. I hated the teachers. At that time, we had these uniforms, all black. Everybody had to wear it. Everybody had to shave their heads. I hated it. And the most I hate the most was the military education in high school. We have to do the military education. We have to actually, the wood guns to hold it, and we have to do this kind of motions that the military army will do it. And so my first revolt was I decided not to do it. But when there was a test, I cannot just not to do it. So I was doing really doing nothing, really bad. So I got really bad score, zero score. And so my school years were not good. And I didn't study at all, really, because there was no motivation for me to study. And unluckily, my parents did not really help me about that. Korean parents, they always sometimes to study hard, but they never say why you have to study hard. They don't give you the motivation. And my parents were not different. They were kind of average middle-class parents and always worry about their future and their kids' future on how to make money. Not the goals that you should have, like what kind of things you want to do. We never talked about that. So I had like lost child during all those times.
So it was difficult both in school and at home.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you survive? Like, you must have been depressed all the time.
Yeah, so I was always looking out the window in the school, in the class. So of course my school record is so bad. I was okay until middle school, but when I go to high school, it really went down. And then my sister was already in the US. So, my future was already set. After the high school, I will come to US as a foreign student. And I didn't really think about it at all. Until like 11th grade, I didn't have any hope. I didn't have any plan for my future. I don't know what to do. But until from 11th grade, I slowly developed what I want to do. So at first, I want to be a newspaper reporter. And second, I want to be a TV producer. And third, I want to be a movie director and create this, art that there's so many inequalities, so many things are bad, so I want to show it in the movies. So I came to the United States in 1984 when I was 18. And for 2 years, I was studying in school. And after 2 years, 1986, this happens that changed my life. There was a Korean Resource Center, which is still exists in Los Angeles, which is partner organization which I am involved in, the NAKASEC, National Korean American Service and Education Consortium. One of my relatives were member of there, but they didn't really think that I'll be into it. But he just invited me to come and play, have some coffee or something. So I went there, and I met these people, and the one thing that I was really surprised at the time, because I was really conscious about this, not just woman-man discrimination. I was always conscious about old people discriminate young people. I don't know why I have to respect them. It's just they're born earlier than me. Why? Why should I respect them? That's how, there's all the frustration that I had in Korean schools that just got into me. But when I first get there, I met the most important person in my life. I met Mr. Han Bong Yoon, who is the leader of Korean democracy movement. And he was behind the Gwangju Uprising that happened in 1980. And the Korean military killed 2,000 people in Gwangju in 1980. So he was the leader of the movement, so he got away and get on a ship. And with 30 days of pass, he got into US and he got the political asylum in US. And he was the leader of the group. But we had the dinner together, and he was doing dishes. That really surprised me. But it never happens in Korea. So I felt like, oh, this is the place I should belong. This is the one. And then I saw like the Gwangju Uprising video, and I heard a lot of stuff that went on in Korea. And at that time, it was, of course, the military dictatorship was still in South Korea. But the other thing that I felt was, okay, I liked the thing that the eldest doing the dishes. But the other stuff, like Gwangju massacre, all the political stuff, that didn't really move my heart. I felt nothing. So at that time, what I decided was, that changed my life. It's wrong that my heart doesn't feel anything, because 2,000 people died, but I don't feel anything. That's kind of how I grew up, I think. And I think if I want to do the movies, if I want to be the artist, I should be felt more. Because artists are, they feel more than average people to do the art. So at first I decide, okay, I have to change myself.
Oh, just a reminder.
Okay.
That's it.
I have to change myself. So I decided to join, because I thought that joining and doing the activities with them will change my heart. And it worked in about just 1 or 2 years. So ever since then, I became more socially conscious person. And my personal consciousness is really low. I don't really care much, but I became more socially conscious. And as long as I keep on doing this, I felt more and more and more. I don't get tired of it. So that's why I stayed until now to these activities, and I don't regret, even though there was a lot of hard times, because it's not a popular choice of your life, doing community work. For the first 10 years I was doing it, I didn't make any money, because at that time everybody was volunteer, and we don't have money to give as a wage. We don't. And we did a lot of strange fundraising stuff. So we go out on demonstration. Every member will dig up the garbage cans to collect the cans and to sell it. And we gathered papers to sell it to make money for our center, for our groups. So, and we did regularly garage sales. So people will give us donations like clothes. We do garage sales, and we do on December, Christmas time, we do toy sales, and Valentine's Day, we sell flowers. Those kind of stuff that people wouldn't believe that a community center would do it. And I got even arrested once because I was selling flowers in the street and it is illegal. So one of the flower store called police, so I got arrested. That's how we grew our community groups in very, very hard way. So first 10 years of my community work, I didn't make any money. So my parents, of course, got really crazy. What are you doing in US, not earning any money and not thinking about your future? But I believe this is my future. So it was really for that 10 years, it was really you don't own anything for yourself. And I felt the freedom that I don't own anything. I'm just me being and everybody was helping I was working in Los Angeles, San Francisco, Washington, D.C., and my finance staff was in New York, and then this New Jersey. And for all those years, the reason that I moved a lot was that my job, I became organizing director for this organization. And the reason I moved a lot is whenever one chapter have trouble, many members got out, or they have problems keeping the organization, I went there. That's how I went there to San Francisco, DC, and came to New York. And I rebuilt. And so this New Jersey Palisades Park is my fifth town This time is different because we just built new one, not rebuilding it. So that's how my life kind of went throughout the years, and it's fun. It doesn't sound like fun, but I think I have the gene inside me that for the organizing. So when there's nothing, I go there, I meet people and ask them to join our work because this is a good work. So that's what my 38 years has been passed.
So how did you make a living for yourself, not for the organization, for the first 10 years?
So first 10 years, our supporters actually feed me. They bring the food. At that time, I was smoking. They give me the money to buy the cigarettes. And so it was really like a community place. Because at that time, not just me, like there were over almost 1,000 members in the US at that time. We had more than 10 chapters. And I think about 100 people were full-time workers. They all lived like that. Because nobody was getting paid. Nobody was. But it was really exciting time for us. But 1997, after about 11 years, I had to get a job because I got married and I had a baby. So just me and my wife we both worked in the center. So we both didn't make any money. And sometimes we worked part-time for the rent and those things, but our main job was our center, Lincoln Center at that time in New York. But we had a baby. We didn't plan. So I had to make money, 1997. So there was two ways I could go. One way is, okay, I have to make money anyway. So I'll make lots of money and support the Lincoln Center. That's one way. And second way was I was working part-time, time to time in newspapers. So I know how to write stories. I know how to report. So getting a job in the newspaper will be okay too. And I didn't really like the style or the Korean newspapers are working because even though we are immigrants, they didn't cover much immigrant stories. They were always like covering something else, and immigrant stories were not important at that time. The Korean American community has been changed a lot. You know what? In 1980s, people are arguing that we should teach Korean to their kids or not. And many people believe that no need to teach Korean, just teach English. And teaching Korean will have disadvantage for our kids who is learning Korean. Learning English. So we had changed a lot, and even immigrant issues like undocumented Korean Americans, like the people who marginalized. And we know, the Korean community is not model, society. There's like the Korean elders' poverty level is the highest in Asian community. Chinese, Filipinos, and Indian, they have less poverty in elderly community than Koreans. So there's a lot of myths that, all the Korean Americans own those stores, they are all over middle class, but it's not. So those two things that I can do, make a lot of money or go to newspaper. And make a lot of money is impossible because from my adult life, from early 20s to 30s, I never think about anything making money. I was just working in this center, so I have no skills, and there was nothing in my head about, gaining the wealth. So I decided to go to newspaper, and so when I go there, there's two things I decide. I'm going to stay about 10 years and come back to Lincoln Center as a staff. And the other thing is I want to change Korean newspapers' styles. So every day I put like 10 stories plan to our editor-in-chief that covers Asian community and immigrant community, not just Korean community. So I think I kind of succeeded. So now all the Korean papers, not just mine, but all the other Korean American newspapers and media kind of follows. During the first year, my first story was that really make an impact was there's 5 undocumented Korean Americans living in 2-bedroom apartments and start their life in US. And I already knew there's lots of people like that because I was working in the community center. So I simply asked them to do the interview and put in the story, but all the newspaper people got shocked because they didn't know. So that's how I kind of keep on contributing for our center, for our movement. So I was planning just doing it for 10 years, but unfortunately, I had second and third child. Still at that time, our center, in 1997, we hired first paid staff in December. And about that time, I moved to newspaper. But still, not many people can get paid. But I had this second and third child who is twin, boy and girl twins. Oh my. So I had to work more in the newspaper. So I was being a board member of Minko Center for all time. So still working as one of the members of the organization. But I had to stay longer in newspaper to get paid. So after all, I stayed 23 years and became an editor-in-chief that I didn't really plan. And then 2019, I just had it, no more. Because the community that I'm in the movement, and this commercial world is totally different. When I first became a reporter in newspaper, I kind of expected it, but I was really shocked that people don't care each other. And there's a lot of backstabbing and a lot of things that I wouldn't be faced in our movement community. So I was not really incorporated into this culture. For 23 years, I was always struggling. So 2019, after being an editor-in-chief in 1 year, being an editor-in-chief was really difficult. Now I have to deal with our president, right? And now you have to not just getting the wages for me, I have to brought money to our company by getting the advertisement. That is also another job for editor-in-chief in Korean newspaper. And that was so hard for me. So I decided, okay, now that's it. And my kids went to college and so it's time for me to move on. So I asked the Yoo Sung-moon, who is the president of Minkwon Center. He studied like 3 or 4 years later than me, but he was still in the center and working as a president. So I asked him, can I come back? And he said, of course. And now you get paid well because our center was growing. And so we almost already have more than 20 paid staff at that time. So I was really proud of my members and okay, then I will come back. So what you gonna do? So I said, I can do fundraising. And also I can do the New Jersey Center. Even when I started 2019, I suggest that let's build a community center in New Jersey. So I can do that. So those two things were my task. And now, so I rejoined, finally, and I felt so relieved. I'm still like, it felt like I got my freedom again. And for the fundraising part, it's also kind of easy for me. I've been in the Korean newspaper for 23 years. I know everybody in the Korean community. And they kind of, respected me as a newspaper guy also. So instead of getting fundraise for our newspaper's president's pocket, now I can fundraise for this community center. So it is much more fun and easy. So I decided to do that. And then, so 2019 I came back, and 2020 pandemic hit. So my work was kind of shut down. My job was to meeting people and getting fundraise, but no more because we gotta be isolated all the time. So the big incident happened to me during those pandemic years. So I decided to help our social service. Minkwon Center has immigration social service and also low-income family social service. Those two big areas we do. But we didn't do the labor social service because we did not have the labor lawyer at that time. But suddenly we got so many calls about the unemployment insurance applications that we didn't do. So I asked them, how come, of course we know that there's millions of people lost their job. But until now, Koreans really didn't ask us to help with that. So we don't have the program. I found out that the phone system was shut down. The Labor Department phone system was shut down because millions of people are calling to get the unemployment insurance. So it is impossible to get through. The problem was translation service was only provided by the phone service, not the computer online application. It's all English. Oh, so okay then. Then I think at that time, because our social service programs are already burdened with so many requests, I decided to, okay, then I'll do this. Because anyway, I got nothing to do. I cannot do fundraising. So I will just open my cell phone number to the public, and I'll get the unemployment insurance request and help them. And I didn't know that what will happen at that time. Maybe I will get like 10 calls a day, then I can help them. For next 1.5 years, I got 50,000 phone calls. So at the peak, I get almost 150 calls a day. So I realized this is our community. These people don't speak English well, and they don't have access to computers. But that was really like hard experience for 1.5 years. I woke up getting the calls, and so many calls, everybody left message, and I have to do like 12 hours a day on the phone. And then at the end, we decided to make a video to how to apply online. And also, we decided to actually make people come to our office at the end of the pandemic years, because now it's kind of, we can open officially. So people come and we'll do the application, actually, literally, not just consulting. But that experience really made me more definite that we need to do this work. There are so many people still need our help. So, even though it was really hard, but it was really, makes me truthful to our community, and I felt like, oh, this is my life, really. So I'll keep on doing this until I retire. So, and I became, in 1994 around, we established the national organization, National Korean American Service Educational Consortium. So after I came back, I also became board member of NACASEC. So I can deal with the national issues and also helping other affiliate and partner organizations. Now we have 5 affiliate, 2 partner organizations, including the Korean Resource Center I started in 1986. So with these 7 organizations working together, and we have about more than 120 paid staff, and our whole budget is more than 10 million right now. So this is kind of really, I'm not bragging, but this is the biggest Korean American organizations in the US right now, in terms of the budget and the staff's power. So I started working also with the NACASEC as a board member. And so after 2021, actually, after the pandemic kind of faded away, now we get so many requests from New Jersey people. Even though 1/3 of our community members being helped was from New Jersey, they felt like they left it out. Because Minko Center is in New York, and I mean, especially because we did the cashier assistant to undocumented who even cannot get the unemployment insurance. So we raised about $2 million and give out about 2,000 undocumented Korean families cashier assistance, average $1,000 to $2,000. We also gave out to New Jersey, but it's very small rather than the New York. So they were really complaining, please come down to New Jersey and build a center here so we can get also helped. And not just the social services, but also the election work and other empowerment movement things. There's very little happening in New Jersey. So, okay, now it's time for me to move on to my second task, to build a New Jersey center. So 2021, me and my wife foolishly decided just move to New Jersey without any place to stay. And my wife had this RV, camping car. So we kind of thought that, we can live in this RV and build this community center. At first 2 months, one of our supporters actually gave us a free rent. So we stayed there. And after 2 months, mostly I just stayed in, and my wife was stayed in the RV. Our plan was to sell our apartment in New York and move up, but it's such in bad shape and really not good one. So it still I couldn't sell it yet. For 3 years, I couldn't sell it. So we still cannot move to New Jersey, but we just decided to stay here, no matter what. So at that time, we got this place, and we have every week community meetings. I invited every sector of Korean community people to come to meet Minko Center. And anytime when they call, I can meet them. I should meet them. So that's why I wanted to stay in the New Jersey. So for 1 year, we stayed in New Jersey without a place. And so my wife, in the winter time or in the summertime, couldn't really sleep in the car. So we borrowed a tent and put it in this space, and we sleeps here for 1 year. And after the 1 year, my wife just had it. Could not stand it anymore. So we decided to move back to New York. So now I'm coming to New Jersey like almost 3 days, and when I come to New Jersey, I sleep here still. I have sofa bed in my room, so I can still sleep here, but now I'm commuting from New York and New Jersey. But we succeeded with the many help from the fund from Korean American Community Foundation. They supported us for 3 years, and we even got New Jersey state funding. And so now we are kind of stabilized, but we still, lacks a lot of funding and steps. My hope is so we officially opened it in 2022, December. So it has been just over 1 year. And my hope is in about 5 years, maybe we should have 7 to 8 staff and have some steady funding to keep going. So this is how I'm doing now. And hopefully after 5 years, I can move on to other places to build a community center. If I'm not too old at that time, but that was kind of my life, yeah.
What do you think is the most pressing issue in the Korean American community today?
Yeah, I think there's 3 things. One is still there's more than 100,000 Korean Americans are undocumented. Yeah, they don't have legal...
Nationwide?
Yeah, nationwide. So they don't have legal status. And so our goal is to get them the green card. So we worked over 30 years for that, because we started during the mid-1990s. But we still couldn't make it. But we are not giving up. We're gonna do that till we die. So that's the one thing that people, and there's also a lot of young people, more than I think 30 to 40,000 young people. They also don't have the document. And US is the only country they know. They don't really speak Korean well, but they are still in the fear of get deported to a country, even though they are Korean, but they are not familiar with. And still a lot of Koreans got deported every year. So that is mostly marginalized community in Korean community right now. I always said there's 3 big groups in Korean community: man, woman, and undocumented. Undocumented people are the 3rd biggest group in Korean community. So we are still keep on working it. And the DACA, the Obama administration promised us to give document, but they couldn't. So DACA was kind of band-aid for the young people. Biden also promised us to do that. So when Biden administration started, we did 100-day demonstration in Washington, D.C. Actual 100-day we did the demonstration to push the Biden to do it. But Biden still couldn't do it. So we'll keep on working on that. Second thing is the political empowerment that our community should have. So every year, Minkwon Center right now meeting about 300,000 people. Whenever the election is on, we are calling them, we are door knocking, we are doing the texting. We formed an Asian organization called APA Voice, and we always work together when the election is on. So we're trying to get Koreans and Asians vote. So if you met Minkwon Center, there's lots of people whose life is kind of working with Minkwon Center. When they just come to US, if they need green card application, we'll help. So we get them the green card. And then we get them to citizenship with the citizenship application. And then we get them register for the vote, and we help them to go to the polls and do the voting. That's the whole process that we are helping. And there's lots of people who got benefit by this. So this is like one-stop package that we provide. So that's the second thing. And third thing is, of course, there's a lot of people in dire situations. We felt that a lot really during the pandemic years. That, like I told you before, the Korean elders, 19% are under the poverty line. 19% is really huge. I mean, people didn't realize. And like Korean elders, 50% in Flushing are poor. That's what the community looks like right now. This kind of shadow of the community that people don't really realize. So we have to keep on doing the social service to help them get food stamp, to help them to afford the rent. So right now, Minkwon Center has 3 attorneys, and one of them is a housing attorney. And she helps the rent for the Korean elders mostly. They're having hard time to pay rent. You know, the rent hike is too high. So we also fight against the development, because development is the one thing that makes the rent high. So we always fight. What we fight, usually 10 out of 9 we lose. Because, I mean, the other side is so powerful and not enough community support. But still, we keep on fighting, and sometimes we get the wins. Like New York and New Jersey State, they decide to give driver's license to undocumented. That's our win. We fight for 20 years to get it. And so the community work, the movement is marathon. It's not something that short distance running, it's a marathon. So many things that we did over 20 years, we make it. That kind of thing happens. So that's the third thing, the social service. There's a lot of people who got marginalized and don't need a lot of help. And fourth thing is our youth and our culture. As you know, a lot of youth are lost because of their identity, because there is a tendency in Korean community that when they talk about youth programs, they only talk about the elite programs, to go to Ivy League, to study better. But our program is totally different. We choose schools to have bad record, and we choose kids from that schools, multiracial. So we have Korean, Chinese, we have Black, we have Latinos. All those youth come together, and we teach them the Asian American history, we teach them immigrant history, and we teach them immigrant rights. So our program's name is Youth Empowerment Program, and make them to join our work. So we go to demonstration together. We do social service together. So they learn that this is my community. This is something that they can work on. So when they go to college, a lot of them stayed. So many of our staff actually comes from our youth program to become Minkwon staff and then move on and keep on working with the community. So, and doing that, also what we need is keeping the Korean culture. So we are doing the Korean drumming classes, and as much as we can, we built a Korean cultural troupe in 1984 called Binari, and we still, trying to do as much as we can to let the Korean culture to be spread. So we do every year, early February, we do something called 지신 밝기. With the Korean drumming, we visit all the Korean stores. We usually do it in the Manhattan 32nd Street. Visit Korean stores and wish them luck for this year. That's the Korean traditional community event that our ancestors were doing it in Korea. So we do that. We do Korean drumming classes. So those four things are most important for the community, and that's why we decided to do those four things, and we keep on doing that. Yeah.
So what do you think is causing the disintegration of the support structure for elders? Like, you know,
I mean,
why is there such high poverty? And isn't there a support structure from their families? And the answer, I think, is no, it's disintegrating. Then the question is why?
I mean, it's not just our community's problem. It's U.S. problem and world problem. The income gap is became, more and more. And now what we really worry is that, every year Korean homeless will be growing. And the problem is the rent. Like the Flushing, our New York Lincoln Center is, everybody's working. There's not many unemployment right now, but almost half of them pay rent of half of their income. So they don't have money to spend. And even though they are making decent money, they are poor because they have to pay rent $2,000, $3,000. No more money left for them to live. So, keeping the rent low is really important, we understood. And all the development, all the luxury condos, and now the New York Mets owner trying to build a casino in Flushing. Those kind of things really hurt community. So we are fighting really hard, but that's the one reason. And second reason is really kind of people don't really think about much because they think that Koreans are okay, right? And even among the Koreans, they believe that our elders are okay, but it's not. And sometimes people ask, if the rent is so high, why don't you move out to other places? Especially Korean elders, they don't have money to move. They don't even have money to move. And they are really familiar with the environment that they lived on over 20, 30 years. They don't want to move and they cannot move. So those kind of things that really make them struggle all the time. And we are really worried that the homeless elders will be growing dramatically, really, because of all the development. So we are also helping, we don't have the homeless shelters, but we are trying to help other Korean homeless shelters to grow their capacity to help the Korean elderly homeless people. So, yeah.
So when you look back in your life, on a personal level, is there something you would look back and say, I wish I would have done that differently?
Yeah, lots of it. I don't know if I can say it, but
full sentence, yeah.
Yes. Sorry to my kids, but I really shouldn't have babies, kids. That makes my life really difficult, and also my kid struggled because me and my wife both were working in non-profit organizations, and we didn't make money, that much. So my kids were really, complaining about it all the time. And so two of my kids decided going to area that just make money. But one kid, I'm really worried about her because she wants to work in the non-profit. So anyway, so I'm really sorry to my kids to struggle with us. So that's one thing that I kind of regret. But so be it. What can I do? Because I mean, I have my life to live, and I choose this life. So that's one thing. And the other thing is, if I could have stayed in one place for a long time, I could be more effective and useful. But I moved so much. Los Angeles, San Francisco, Washington DC, New York, and New Jersey. Kind of, but it was needed because nobody else could do it, like freely, like me. And I kind of liked doing it. But I mean, if I stayed just in Los Angeles, I could be more effective for Korean Resource Center. But I kind of getting used to it. So, and I think I have the spirit of kind of, I mean, not staying in one place for a long time. So I stayed in New York like the most, more than 10 years because of my kids. But now my kids are all graduated, they have their own life. So I'm always thinking, what's the next city? Yeah, that's, the other thing.
Okay, that sounds good. Is there any other questions you have?
Yeah, was there ever a moment that you had a lot of doubt for the choices you made in your life, and what was the thing that kept you going, that kept you assured?
Yeah, early 30s, I had really big depression because of money. That, I mean, there's no money for me at that time. And I didn't know what to do. So at that time, I was kind of regretting that I did for 10 years without getting paid and doing this. And I felt kind of stupid, especially when I had my first baby. So I stayed at home like almost a year without doing nothing at that time, trying to get a job. At that time, I was really depressed for 1 year and I had kind of doubt. But there's people always, when I'm asking to work together, they say, I'm gonna make money first and then contribute after. It didn't never happen. It will not happening unless you just do it. Even though there's our members who are making a lot of money and keep on contributing. But it's not always, I mean, it's not happening, you say after. So after 1 year, I got a job in newspaper and I got really recovered, even though, I mean, newspaper pay was also not that good, but I mean, still I can make a living, I can raise my kids. And also during this newspaper work, I can contribute to Minko Center. So yeah, that was the time, most difficult time for that 1 year. But I mean, for now, when I think back, it was, I mean, there's always up and downs. And there was downtown time for me. But my heart was never left this community work. So I don't feel like I'm like giving up myself or anything. I just like this. And I mean, people worry about me when I'm getting 150 calls a day. Are you okay? I was having a blast. Because, 50,000 people I was connected. So when I was working in Flushing, people recognized my voice. When I was talking to wife, Minko Center. I mean, that's the feeling. I mean, you did something, you accomplished something for community members. That is great feeling, really. So I like it, doing it. So, I mean, it's not something that somebody can force you to do it. So, I mean, and that's the way I think I was, even though in Korea, that I felt a lot of oppression. I really hated authority and don't know what to do because nobody guided me to this way. But luckily, I got guided to this way in US. So, yeah.
It's funny because even though it was something that fulfilled you, you also don't want your children going into it.
I advise my daughter, one daughter. My son became an accountant, not to be involved with. And my first daughter wants to be a school teacher, but after she graduated, the pay she would get is so, she was disappointed, so she got another administrative job in the college. But I like my second daughter to work in non-profit. I like it, kind of. But I will advise her like more, because I had this experience. If you want to work in the non-profit world, you still need to have kind of plan for your life. My first 10 years, I didn't have any plan. I thought that I could live like this forever without owning anything, not getting paid, just live like this. But that was kind of, naive thing that I thought. You should also step by step planning yourself, and that will also help our movement. If you are stable, you don't have that depression that I had for 1 year, that kind of thing. So, I don't really hate my kids doing this, but hopefully more.
Yeah. You're not against it, but you're not necessarily for it. You're just hoping that they'll find their own way.
Yeah.
You're not necessarily saying this is your way is the way.
Yeah. I'm not really caring person to my kids. If you care so much about your family, you cannot do this work. That's why my wife is always complaining, and sometimes she said you only have social consciousness. You don't have personal consciousness. So, yeah, they can choose their life, but I kind of like it. My second daughter wants to do the nonprofit. Yeah. My name is Kapsong Kim, and this is my Korean American story.